Topical map versus a semantic content network. Today I'm joined with Germans Frolovs and we're talking about the differences between a semantic content network and a topical map. So Germans, let's jump straight in. What are the main differences between the two?
I think in simple terms, I would define topical map compared to a semantic content network as, let's say, more of a strategic blueprint or graph of the, let's say, topics that define what you cover. And semantic content network would be more like a tactical execution and a collection of all the, let's say, processed content briefs, which then are going to be transferred into written content pieces. That basically turn your map into something living, interconnected in some kind of information graph representation that would represent your website. Because also in the content brief part, we are then starting to create those links and contextual connections between all the topics that we have strategically outlined in the topical map.
And then with regards to a semantic content network and a topical map, how many people seem to get it wrong? What I don't understand realistically is people are giving a topical map to someone that might not properly understand semantics and semantic SEO. And they've got the list of all the pages that need to be done, but they're not being properly connected. Like, how important would you say for someone who's got the budget and willing to spend the money and they want to take the business to the next level, how important is a semantic content network versus just having a topical map being created?
Like you mentioned, topical map is just a sheet with rows saying you need to cover these topics, but how do you cover them? Where, let's say, some topics need to go deeper, and what do they connect to? What are the internal links and so on? And actually, what should be, when covering that specific topic, what is the query network for that topic? What kind of questions do we need to answer? What kind of, let's say, entities we need to mention? How to be connected to the business and so on? Without proper, let's say, semantic content network and all the processed content briefs, you will not have that. You will just have a list of topics that you need to cover, but how, you have no idea. So that's why the semantic content network, or let's say all the content briefs that are followed after topical map creation are crucial to make this into something that is going to be easy to then execute on when writing the content and actually implement in a successful way.
So with regards to a topical map's bringing back all the pages and stuff of what's needed. Does the semantic content network include the content briefs, the macro content, the micro content, where things are being connected with regards to internal links, anchor text? Is that the difference? Like, this is just the outline and this is digging deeper within the outline of how everything is going to be connected. Is that correct?
Yes, within each row of that, let's say, outline, yeah.
And how is a proper implementation, a successful implementation of that? What does that look like?
Can you repeat that question?
So with regards to how it's being implemented, like where it can certain clients just have a topical map and they'll understand how to connect it together? Or do you generally prefer always creating the semantic content network so you can define everything of what they need to do?
Depends on the client and depends on their budget, but in an ideal scenario, let's say I would prefer to, or maybe also with the team, to create the content briefs together, or at least if the budget is limited and people perhaps have, or the company has people in-house, then train them on how to create those content briefs. Or maybe with some AI tools we could speed up that process. But definitely you need all of them, and without let's say proper content brief creation, then there's no use for a topical map. It's just a plan, and you will basically not have an idea on how to implement that. So the successful implementation will be that, we have a topical map, we create content briefs, and then we write content, and then we also then write that content according to algorithm coverage rules for that algorithm clarity and lower cost of retrieval and better quality thresholds than anyone else.
Yeah, and frustration of mine is a lot of people think that a topical map is a semantic content network. And a lot of people that have got an existing website and they've gone and got loads of disconnected entities. So they've gone and got blog posts and the orphan pages. They're not connected. They just sit there in isolation on their own. and they're not feeding in and they're not interlinking and stuff together. Like the amount of people that say to me, "Oh, I need a topical map," and it's like, no, you need a semantic content. You need someone who's going to come along and deliver you a semantic content network to connect these together. How important is it? Because a topical map can have lots of standalone content. How important is it for these people to understand that? Because everyone's obsessed with the term topical map, and they think that it's doing everything that's going to connect everything together. How important is it for these people to understand? Majority of people have got these existing websites with orphan pages that is disconnected and they're not interlinking properly. That it's a semantic content network they need and not just a topical map.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, when these elements are aligned, the website actually transitions from just isolated documents into really like strongly connected, kind of like, yeah, content network. Also, there is like a factor, not a factor, but like definitely something they can see that success in one page. Let's say if you're talking about a certain, if you're processing a topic that follows a query pattern or template, it kind of propagates the trust and the signals to other related pages. And then it's much easier to then, if you have done one thing right or one section right, you properly connect it to the next one, that next one is going to be performing better. Then overall, once you have proper topical map content briefs and high quality content there, then the search engine also begins to trust your source as the truth or basically defines the truth ranges based upon your source, making it harder for any competitor to then try to beat you. And also the overall cost of retrieval is lowered because the site information is very clean, everything is connected. It is basically providing a structured content network that is teaching Google on what this topic is, what this sphere is, better than anyone else, and then you become that authority. Without proper semantic content network and a topical map, that's not going to be possible. I know the topical map is a trendy term, but yeah, it's just because of that name. It could be popular, but it is definitely false to think that this is the ultimate key to success, because there's so many other elements that are followed after that that need to be properly executed. And it's not just a one-time thing that you would publish, implement, and forget about it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, I think the big one where I understood the difference, the core difference between a topical map and a semantic content network was I had a topical map created, and then when I implemented it, I didn't really add the source context and the monetization method on. And it was just every article was like a standalone article that didn't really connect back to who I was and who my brand was and what monetization it was. So every type of lead generation strategy was going, yeah, this is good, yeah, this is good, yeah, this is good. But a lot of it wasn't where I made the money. And what I needed to try to do is try to word it in a way that had to come back to our monetization methods. And I needed to, even though I used the exact same topical map, I needed someone to come along from the semantic community and completely change my semantic content network, the macro content, the micro content, where things was funneling through to. And then I started to realize, I was like, oh, I didn't even realize there was a difference between a topical map and a semantic content network. Even I was like completely confused with like, well, what even is a semantic content network? And then you guys was chatting on about ontology and query templates, and I'm just like, you blow my mind here. Like I just get a list of articles, write about it, and then I started to realize then the input at the front end of what I need to give people like yourself and the experts within the semantic community. You need as much information right from the start to get that semantic content network to be funneling correctly. Is there anything to expand on that yourself? Have you had any horror stories where you've seen someone have a topical map and it is just disconnected and they've not set it up correctly? They've had a proper topical map being created, but they've not implemented it correctly because they didn't know how to implement the semantic content network.
Exactly, yeah. Well, I think we could have a different episode on all the mistakes there, but for sure I've seen this, and actually I sold a few of these services as well, where I do create a topical map, but even though before I said this is not the stop, it's just the beginning, you need to continue with this and this and that, let's try to create document, let's say, templates and content brief templates so that you could continue executing, at least with this limited budget, but Yeah, there are a few cases. There have been a few cases where at the topical map it stopped and then nothing was done. And yeah, maybe not necessarily talking about the mistakes when it comes to topical maps, but also the way topic like content briefs are done. It's a completely different process from topical map creation. And then again, it deserves yeah, again, SOPs and workflows and the know-how of how to understand the per topic what you need to cover. Again, thinking about the business, thinking about which attributes are relevant to your business, which are not, which actually deserve to have a heading, which just need to be mentioned. That is a different process. And again, if that is not properly delivered, again, that's gonna probably won't make a success of the whole implementation.
Yeah, for sure. Anyone who's watching this, make sure you check out the episode with regards to how to create effective content briefs. I never really understood. I always knew what headings needed to be done. I never really understood the heading hierarchy and where the macro and the micro content it becomes really, really important as part of a semantic content network. But also the importance of giving the source context and giving that information right at the start because it can completely change the way people implement the content briefs as well. So I hope you like this episode on topical maps versus semantic content networks. Germans, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Likewise, thank you.